What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 15 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we're going to be adding the back frame of the Enterprise D and reworking the back end, the top end here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We got a bit of 21-minute episode today. We're going to be starting off running these middle pieces. You can see I'm going one back and out, and we're just going to count back. And right now I'm just kind of eyeing it to see how long it's going to be. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13. So we're going to make sure to have the same amount on this side. No, but I'm just going to be eyeing this and also going back and forth between what I'm building right now and then pick the 3D model of the Enterprise D to kind of work in how it curves inward. Because that was something that I noticed on the lower hull of the Enterprise D. When you look at it from a top-down view and you look at the shape of it, it kind of curves in. Not exactly like a football, but it's not dissimilar to it. So that's kind of sort of the shape that we're going to be making here today, but it's going to differ from a football because the tip is not going to be so pointed. It's going to be more curved and maybe a little bit thinner on the sides, but that's more or less the shape that we're going for. And this is something I've talked about in the past, that when you can identify the shapes that you're building, it becomes a little bit easier to try to transfer that to a 3D build, as opposed to if you're just looking at it and you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep adding rows and rows and trying to make it look like it. It's a little bit easier when you have in your head established, when you kind of think of like maybe a slightly thinner, more curved on the sides of a football. And that's kind of how I looked at it. It made it a little bit easier for me to build this out. But other than that, there's not really that much of a process in getting this down. It's just going a combination of having that in your mind of what you're going to be building, and then going back and forth between looking at what you're building right now, and then also the 3D model, using those references to go back and forth and say, okay, does this match up? Does it look good? So far, so good. And we're just progressively going to have to transition inward as we're cutting until we get all the way to the back end here. And kind of curve it out towards the back. We're also going to have to redo this back piece right here, and then we're going to redo the bottom piece, which we won't get to in today's episode. We're going to be mostly focusing on the wireframe, the back, and then the top. Which, as you can see, I'm taking my time doing this. It took about 21 minutes just to do these two, the wireframe for the edge of the sides and then the top, because really the next steps after this are going to be filling it in. And this is why I spent so much time on the front end of the ship, because all these are going to have to work together harmoniously when we're adding in the layering. Because when you think about it, every single cut line that I'm bringing inward, that's going to be another transition point on the top side of the hull of the lower hull, that it's going to be progressively getting a little bit shorter every time we cut in. So I'm trying to stretch it out a little bit more right here so that we still maintain some height as we're going back, while also staying true to the shape of the Enterprise D, if that kind of makes sense. Basically trying to plan ahead, because I've done enough of these things where I kind of know what to do with it. And it's a combination, well, it's not necessarily a combination, but it's just a matter of knowing where to have your cut lines, because we're going to be, the cut lines that we're using now, they're going to be going along the backbone, the back end of the ship, because this will be a progression cut. This will be, and so on and so forth as we go up. So as we're going down, this section up here is going to be getting shorter and shorter and shorter until we get to the back end. That's at least the idea of it. So you start to plan these things out ahead of time. Definitely makes it a little bit easier to build out your ship, as opposed to just throwing a bunch of stuff down in a random format and not really planning it out. That was definitely one of the main reasons why I spent so much time on the front end of the ship, because I was trying to build it in a way that it's hopefully going to complement the sides of what I'm building here. Now as we're going further back, every time we cut in is getting shorter and shorter. We started at 13. I think now we're down to 8. Yeah. So far, so good. That doesn't look too bad. Actually, looks pretty good. It's just like the Enterprise D on the sides, which is what we want. At this point in the video, I stop up here for a second because I'm looking at the 3D model of the Enterprise D, and I'm trying to make sure that what I'm doing is going to work. So now we're going to go back over and get some more rows done and try to get the back side of this completed so that we can do the top part. Down to 6. I did 2 rows of 6 on that side. We're going to do the same thing on the left side. As long as you remember, if you do one thing on one side, do it on the other, just to keep it fresh in your mind, save you from making a mistake or two. And we're kind of getting towards the back end, so I might start switching now to pattern of 4 on the back side. Clear enough, what I'm looking at here right now is kind of how this is curving in with the patterns. I'm thinking I might be able to use some of that maybe with how I'm going to make the back end of the Enterprise D curve inward. You'd be surprised what you can do when you have your pre-patterns already down other areas of the ship. Sometimes I will, like you just saw right there, go and look at different areas of my ships and see how I did the patterning. Just as kind of a refresher on what I might want to do. See, on that last 3 set we did 4, 3, 4. So I'm trying to make it cut inward, but I might just end up going down to 3 maybe. We're going to leave that what we got there for now. We're just going to keep going. I do recall that we are going to slightly adjust the back end of this, but the front sides, that's all good. It's really just this back end we're just going to slightly tweak, but we'll get that wrapped up in today's episode. Remember when I did this part of the ship, I really didn't have a lot of a hard time with it, which was kind of surprised with. Because it's not that I necessarily had a hard time with the front end of the ship. It was just a matter of, or the front end of the lower hull. It was just a matter of getting it to where I wanted it to. And Sometimes you just got to keep reworking it until you get to a point that you're happy with, which I think that we're right there. Definitely happy with how the ship is looking so far. Now see, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, because looking at it from the top side down the back end of the lower hull, maybe a thinner football isn't a good example, but it's definitely got like an oval shape going on the back end. That's definitely kind of what we're going for. And I'm just kind of going back and forth between like the upper hull here looking at that curve because I'm trying to use that as a reference to build my back end of the ship. Then we went down to 2, and then I'm going to do 1 in. I actually messed up this side, I gotta fix that. And now we're just going to go up at an angle. Maybe 6 or 7. We're going to count that out when we do the left side here. That doesn't look terrible, but that doesn't look fantastic, that angle right there. That's going to be the area that we're going to be kind of reworking. So we're going to delete everything after the first cut in. This way both sides match again. We're just going to redo that. So we have a single there, so we're going to go in 1, go down 2, and then 1. We're going to add 2 more on the right side, going at an angle, and give it a 3rd one, and a 4th one. On the 4th one, we're going in. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to do 3, and then go in and out, and then do 4. Make that 4. This next row. Let's see how that looks. That doesn't look too bad. Actually looks pretty good. only thing we'll have to do now is get rid of these 3 rows of builder lines and then rework it with the base that we have. But the shape is there, which is kind of exciting because now our Enterprise D is starting to really start to form together, which is awesome. Remember at this point in the build I was starting to get really excited because like it felt like it was such a long period to get to this point, because this thing has just been a massive build from beginning to end. I'm still working on the interior right now. That's how big it is. Taking my time with the interior a little bit because I don't want to screw it up, and I'm trying to kind of work in where everything's going to go. But definitely making some good progress on it. But this thing just is taking a long time to complete. So alright, now we're going to go in, we're going to get rid of this old builder line backbone that begins after the neck, and we're going to rebuild this. You guys hear me talk about wireframing a ship out, this is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it. You identify your shape, and then you start wireframing that together one section at a time. Doing the sides first, and then the top, and then you make it three-dimensional and you fill it all in. Or in some cases you can do the side or the top and bottom first and then the sides, but yeah. So right now I'm doing a pattern of 5. I want to see how this goes, but I think that we're going to be transitioning down to 4 here in a moment. There's a problem when you're doing these. It's a matter of making it match up. And sometimes when you're doing this, it may not come out perfect the first time. Oh, excuse me. Now the pattern of 5 wasn't a bad way to start, but it needs to eventually get down where I'm putting this block right here. You see on the bottom side I'm starting with 4 and I'm working my way up, because I want to see what the gap's going to be if I do 4 as opposed to 5. You see I've transitioned to 4, but there's going to be a gap there and it's not necessarily going to work. Or what we could do is start bringing this back and just redo this in a pattern of 4, and that might work. Let's try it out. We're like right there, so I've got to go a little bit further back, make it cut down 1 more. We're going to go up to this next row of 5, we're going to take away 1. maintaining the pattern of 4 at this point. Get rid of those last 2, and then bring this back. Get rid of the last 2. Same thing here. Last 2. So if it's not going to be even there, that's going to be the only problem, so I might still have to go up again and slightly rework it. So if you're not sure what I did there, I basically adjusted every single row to 4, or a pattern of 4 as we're going down. So now, every single row is 4. And that looks pretty good. That does not look terrible at all. It's definitely starting to look like the Enterprise D. So, we've gotten some decent prep work done. We're at a point where we can do the bottom side line in the next episode and then start working on the hull. So I'm going to slightly rework this and just bring it back by 1, still maintaining 4, brings it right up to the lip there. Looking good. You can see now I'm just going back, double checking my work, making sure that these are all rows of 4. And the last one, that's 4. Cool. Alright. So I think that's going to about do it today. We've gotten a decent amount done, the whole wireframe. We just got to do the bottom wireframe, and then we can start filling in the sides. But I'm really happy with how this thing is coming along. She's starting to look good and look just like the Enterprise D. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this video, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Everybody takes time to watch these episodes, comments, subscribes, likes the videos. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, be sure to drop a comment below. Or if you just want to say hey, definitely enjoy hearing from everybody. And also, don't forget, new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can usually catch my new Starship Evo builds dropping on Mondays, Minecraft videos dropping Tuesdays through Thursdays. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.